This is the Debian Art BoF. We've got a load of artists here, and this is about making Debian a better place for artists and how people use art in Debian.
Hey everyone. So I think the first order of business is to introduce everyone. So first of all, I did not think that we'd have a room of this many people. I think, okay, maybe it'll be just me and maybe one other person, but I'm glad we got this many people. I'm glad we have enough people. So I think the first order of business is just introduce each other, ourselves. So we're gonna say who we are. My name is Abraham Raji. And what do we do? I'm an artist. I design graphics. I design digital art mostly. So I mostly volunteer at Debian India. So whatever art has come out of Debian India in the past 2-3 years, it was done by me. So I am the only artist there. So I think it is more like they did not have an artist and they wanted a person and someone was there. It was not a mark of how good I am as an artist. But yes, I like art. I like making graphics. I like how it conveys message that are sometimes that would sometimes otherwise require like 1,000 words. So yeah, one other thing, I think we can get to the rest later. We can just say our name. What do we do?
Thank you. You are clearly the best because you're the only one who makes it. My name is Bernal, Nick in Dubai. I am not a designer at all, but I do love beautiful things, and so I will work very hard to make things beautiful through other people.
Hello, I am Joenio. I like to do experimentation with art, but more related to music and sound, and that's it. And especially using computers, and now I am using a lot of live coding environments to create music and sound using programming languages.
My name is Igor. I'm a software engineer for profession, and I'm also a musician. And I can't wait to merge my two biggest passions together.
Hello, I'm Jonas. I am not a Debian, not a designer, but I'm involved in the Debian design team to help streamline design efforts with the more technical parts of Debian.
Hi, I'm Siri. I'm an artist and a graphics designer, self-employed, and a Debian user since 2007. So I use all the Debian tools for graphics design. I'm also a participant of the Debian design team, which has one of the aims, or some of the aims that we're going to talk about today.
Hello, I am Akshat. I am okay. Okay. Hello, I am Akshat. I am a software engineer, not much into designing, but whenever I design a website or web application, I try to make clip arts or images by my own, and I am here for exploring more tools which I can use in my future work. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Randa. Art-wise, I mostly did ASCII art. So I tinkered a bit around with GIMP, but not that deeply. I'm mostly interested in what's going on here.
But you write poems.
Here. Yes, I write poems. That too, yes.
Yes. Akshat. Akshat. Yes. SH. A-I-T. A-T. S-H-A-T. Yes. Wonderful. Yes. Yes. So, I think like the second question is, I mean, I think I didn't write it properly, but what I meant is that, yes.
One more. Yeah, sorry. No problem. Arianit, I'm not an artist at all, but I do like nice looking things. I agree that at least the website is quite sparse. I see that the comment has been made about that. I'm just here to learn about the process in general.
Yes. I think, Aranit, your spelling needs a bit of work.
Arianit, A-R-I-A-N-I-T. Arianit.
All right.
A-R-I-A-N-I-T.
A-N-I-T. A-R-I.
Arianit.
Cultural education, sorry.
N.
N.
Instead of M. You are good. N. A-N-I-T.
N-I-T.
Nit, yeah.
Yes, wonderful. Yes. Okay. Okay, I hope that's all. Second question. This, I didn't think I wrote it properly. So what I mean is that, we are involved in art in different ways. So some of us are actually produce music. Some of us work on websites. Some of us are interested in the UI. And the question is in general about there are other people who do the same things around you, who are other artists who produce music, who are other people who are interested in UI and design. And from what you see, how much has free software penetrated in these areas? As in, how many other designers or musicians do you see using free software? That's the question. Yes.
From my perspective, just being someone who hands over to designers, I have not seen a single one who was aware of free software.
Well, among people doing live coding, it's quite common. Most part of tools are free software. And yes, it's a good point.
In terms of graphical design, I feel like we need more effort towards free software, because some people feel like they really need the proprietary alternative, and they're locked to that. The jobs require that, and even if you try, some people try it, they fail, some people insist it, but they suffer a lot, so we need more discussion around it.
In my field, I have had no colleagues working with the layout program I use, but in recent years it's been more common to use GIMP and also Inkscape for some of the jobs that they do, also among other designers and hobbyists. Yeah.
I have also seen most of my colleagues using proprietary software only for artwork, clip art, and apart from that, I have also seen they have tried, given a try to some free software like GIMP, but eventually they gave up. So. In most of the cases, proprietary software is the majorly they are using.
For ASCII art, I use two tools which are part of Debian. One I maintain myself, and yes, I've seen a few people around who are completely not anywhere close to the free software community using GIMP, so that definitely is one of the plus sides that people use in broader use. Video editing stuff might be something that is also that should be more pushed, because a lot of people do video stuff these days. Yeah.
I've seen, I would say, small-time users, so here and there, people to do their, take care of their little needs. But I don't know if like a professional or an artist that uses free software. But then again, I'm not that much into that community, so I can't say.
Yes. So where I am from, so in India, so we have this, so the Kerala government, Kerala is my state, so we have this policy where in all government schools we use Linux from the young age. So a lot of kids are, they know what GIMP is, what Inkscape is. And so I've come across more artists, not essentially artists, but like hobbyists who use Inkscape and GIMP. And that is sort of how I started. So like so I started as a hobby. I started doing stuff for college, and everyone there used Photoshop and stuff. And me being who I am, I was like, oh, I will use free software. And that's how I started. But the thing about it is that, so like why I wanted to essentially discuss this particular topic is that once I was researching through this particular topic on my own, and I found that Hollywood essentially runs on Linux, and a lot of their stuff runs on RHEL and stuff, and they run their tools on top of Linux, but they are obviously proprietary. So there is more industry adoption than we know, but not much of that is actually put out in a free software manner so that everyone can make use of it. But I think one project that was particularly successful in this specific case is Blender, because Blender has been making a lot of shift in the industry. There's a very successful Indian movie called RRR that was that was very graphics intensive, and most of the CGI for that was done in Blender. So I think it is coming, but I think there needs to be a more push, and we need to make. I think the primary cause of concern or point of pain for most artists is that they are not sure if free software tools can replace the proprietary tools that they use completely. So I think one thing that we probably can and should do is try and make more art, try to get the news more out there, because these tools are powerful, and we do use these tools for day-to-day work. So yeah, that is one thing that I am very interested in. Yes. So yes. Yeah. So one more thing. We have a person in India called Raghu Kamath. His full name is Raghavendra Kamath. So I bring him up often when we talk about art and free software, because he runs his entire studio on free software, and he has very good clients like Cadbury, which is a big chocolate company in India, and he has many really good clients which are like, which are brands that you wouldn't expect to ever come into contact with free software. But this person is a very good designer, and he does marketing work, and his entire studio runs on free software. He runs Arch Linux, he runs Krita, but yes, there are people doing this stuff, and I'm pretty sure in other parts of the world there are other people who are doing it, but it's not often talked about and brought out. So yes, that is one thing I'd like to add. Now, how can we make Debian Linux better for artists? So like, this is primarily aimed at your personal experience. So what are some of the pain points that you faced while you trying to use Debian for any kind of art that you're trying to produce? What were some things that you wish were there? Or it doesn't really have to be exceptionally practical. It can be like, oh, I wish all design tools came pre-installed in Debian at all times. It is fine. It is just more like a wish list, as in what did you wish, what are the pain points that you faced when you were using Debian, and what are the things that you maybe wished were there, where that would have made your experience better?
I would like to say just one point about this that I see can be interesting. Maybe, for example, we can include more topics inside DebConf around this, like workshops and just to create new users among us. I think it is a good start point.
I think Blender is a great model we should follow. See how did they manage to get there, and try and do something similar around GIMP and Inkscape, because I notice I have a person in my family that is an artist. I tried to convince them to use, of course, free software. And they tried, and it's something, it's really not there. Some specific tools that they have in the proprietary world. We could have that on GIMP and Inkscape, but it's not there. We know it's just a matter of someone coming there and coding that, but they don't have enough people. It's 2 or 3 developers. I help them personally, financially, I chip in, but we don't have an organization behind it. We don't have like funding. So maybe we should like focus on that, and that will attract them to migrate from the proprietary software.
According to me, one of the thing is that people may have lack of awareness. Maybe some good tools are there, but we don't know. So maybe we could have a proper wiki over where we can have a comparison with proprietary software to what we have in the free software. One thing. And I'm not sure, I have not explored if Debian has any blend for artwork, but if it is not there, maybe we could think of like Ubuntu has for multimedia for Ubuntu Studio. Yeah.
I think the way to make Debian better for artists is, it's a difficult question, because artists usually, if you can convince them to use free tools, they still have their common workflow and rather use the tools like GIMP on Windows or OS X or whatever they already use. And it's easier to convince them to switch 1 or 2 tools than to switch the operating system as a whole. So I think the approach has to be in a completely different level somehow, but I don't have the solution for that.
Well, I guess you have to start with the mission system, and some distros clearly do this. They're really focused into artwork. And I'm not sure about the Debian community, that there's that spirit and that they care that much. Now, you can create this, like the suggestions that have been given here today, but you need to work on that quite a bit. And then, of course, you will always have the, the general struggle, because I can say, at least for Kosovo, that the other software, commercial software, is pirated, and they get hooked on it, and they stay with it forever. So then it becomes extra hard. I guess there's a chance, if you're starting in school, then yeah, you can learn all the idiosyncrasies of all software, and I don't think one is the better than the other necessarily. You get used to it. So I think starting early gives you a fighting chance.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on Rhonda's point on they are used to a certain operating system, and of course they want to keep it, and you just change the tool, right? But at least in this example I have in the family, it's the other way around. They had to buy a machine with that proprietary operating system because the tools are only available for those 2 main ones. If they told me, well, if I had a tool that would run on GNU, I would switch to just because their focus is the tool. It's not they don't even know it. The operating system doesn't matter much, at least in this person. But so yeah, I think if we get there, and they will see they don't need to keep changing the machines every year or 2 years. They can reuse older machines and all the benefits we have with GNU, as long as they have a good tool to do their jobs.
I, some of the same discussion is going on right now in Debian, the Debian design team, which has been dormant for some years. But we had a great discussion Sunday afternoon, and we have some notes on that. I don't know really how to point to them. Good. That's one thing. So, because it's a huge discussion how Debian can be more welcoming to the, well, for me, design-minded people, but that also include artwork. Debian design is not about artwork, but the meta talk about this and how to create a space for this type of development, which is also software development in Debian, can take place there. I think it's maybe too huge for this BoF, but you're all very welcome. And another thing is there's also a thing called the lipographics movement. I don't know if it's alive and kicking, but some years ago at least it was. And that's also a place to look for this. Also, I think that these tools are not developed in Debian, right? So it's, yeah, I don't know what to. So maybe it's not this community that can really create the outreach to artists. But definitely there's points made in putting your stuff out there and see, I've made this with these tools. Some years ago, a great guy, I forgot his name, from Brazil, created a Collab Debian, which is also a place for artwork, collaboration, effort, and also discussion, I believe. I'm not really a member of that, but I know it's there.
And
Sorry.
if I am not wrong, the name of Brazilian guy is Valesio Brito.
Oh, sorry.
You're doing a lot of work. Yes. So I think most of the valid points have already been raised, because like we are all doing the same things and we are all mostly facing the same difficulties. And I personally, one of the few things that I sort of faced when I was trying to make art with Debian was actually the documentation part. So like I think that is also one thing that needs to improve. So most proprietary tools, if you want to know how to do one thing, you just go YouTube, Google, whatever, and you just search. And that's what most people use, that's what most people do, and you get a tutorial on how to do that. And people are like, oh, that's easy. But you search something for Inkscape, or you search something for GIMP, either it's a few years old, or it's mostly text, and that does not really translate well for people who are not used to reading a lot of documentation. So I think that is something that needs to be improved. There are artists even today who try to create tutorials, and I think I really appreciate those, and I think there needs to be more effort. And I also agree with the point mentioned that we should try to have more design or art-based events inside DebConf and events, other free software events, so that some people even know that this is a way you can do things in. This is something that you can do with free software. So again, more things to, so to sum things down, I think from my end, the things are more things to help designers get up, started, and working with free software tools, and more ways for already existing designers who use proprietary tools to know what these things are possible. And I think we even do so. As far as events goes, we can try and make events where it's sort of like you use proprietary tools, come try free software tools with someone who already uses free software tools, so that they have a better help. And yeah, one thing I don't really have an answer for, or I think that we as designers have not much of a veto over, is software support between operating systems. So I don't think the big tech guys are ever going to make the shift to Linux, because they have this whole business strategy and things. But I think that might not be necessary, and I think if we just focus on the tools that we have, and if we help make them better, I think we can have enough users, because most users most of the tools that we have are definitely in a place where they are not beta software, or just you can just go by. They are actually powerful tools that you can do really powerful things with. So yeah, let's go to the next one. Yes, what is the state of art in Debian now? So let me explain. So again, so I think this is kind of similar to the question that IndieBio has raised for Debian. So I've said this before, and I'll say this again. So Debian is very much committed to building software that is high quality, that is software that that works, that is stable. But more often than not, we don't have enough people volunteering to work on the arts, not the art side, the way to make it more user-friendly, more that is more easier to use for the users, as in the wiki and stuff. And as far as the operating system goes, I think if the desktop environment ships the desktop in a good way as in a what would be perceived as modern by today's standards, then we ship it as it is, so it will be modern. So say GNOME and KDE, they come with a good user interface for young people, but more the wider opposite, the other desktop environments and stuff, we ship it as is, so it goes to the developer to make it as user friendly and stuff. So this is again a different sort of conversation, but I think it is relevant because when we bring in new users, it is important that they have a system that actually feels modern and usable to the users. So yeah, the state of art in Debian. I would like to make the question as in how do we make the conversation around here? There are places in Debian that we think that design is not emphasized enough, that it could be more emphasized, where artists like us can bring more in, bring a bit more, contribute a bit more. So what are the points that you have faced that you think could be done better through art in Debian?
Thank you. I'm doing my best to write that down, but maybe if you want to... and I can only agree with that.
Yeah, it's a silent room. So clearly we have artists, but I don't think the amount of contribution that goes into Debian in form of art is maybe the amount of contribution that goes into Debian in form of art. How much is it? Because it is a big project, and there's definitely scope for more artists to contribute here. And when we ask, okay, what is happening in terms of art in Debian, we have a silent room.
So if I understand your phrase correctly, if I wrote it down correctly, that we need a design-minded thinker to design the tool, rather than have a developer do what they think they should do, and then you get something that to be honest, is quite shit. There's like an ego thing there as well, but like I do think we're silent because that is the thing. I don't think there are any other requirements, you know, for that.
So I think that there are a lot of developers who do a good job, but I think rather than so I think the better way that we should go about it is we should normalize having a conversation about these things. Oh, is this the right way to implement this user interface? Is this the right, if we make our wikis like this, would it be easier for the users to find it? Would it be easier for our users to navigate through it? I think that is rather than, okay, this is like we do this from now on, I think having this sort of a conversation is the right way to go about from here.
So I agree with you, and I think that's I hope I don't offend people, but it feels like as a software developer, everyone contributes and it makes everything better. As a designer, it's a sort of a too many cooks spoil the broth sort of thing. And we don't want to make people unhappy and say that we're not going to use your design, but it doesn't really work in the same way. And so now we're stuck with, okay, nah.
Yes, okay, that's the way.
Well, I just would like to say that I think what Siri told a few minutes ago about maybe how this big topic is too huge for this both, and I think I don't know how to split what is inside the responsibility of the Debian project as the Debian project goes, and what is the responsibility of the upstream projects, for example, because GNOME is already doing their job in terms of design and experience, etc. And we don't need to do it in the Debian side, okay? Then I think that we are sometimes saying mixing, and I think it's a challenge to split, you know, in which area we can work and in what areas we can't go because it doesn't make work. We don't have many rooms. Well, I don't know. That's a difficult discussion. And I will try to connect with the next question just to keep my ideas connected. From my personal perspective, what I would like to see, or at least what I would like to help in terms of Debian project, is to create a kind of, or to be inserted or included in a kind of subgroup where we create art using Debian to Debian. But also, and I don't know how to do it, but I think it would be great to have something like permanently, like the other groups, like we have the Python team, Perl team, and they are working permanently improving the distribution. And I think, I don't know if it makes sense, but I would like to see this kind of subgroup inside Debian creating art. But at the same time, I don't know if it makes sense or if it's possible or not.
I think it's great to have Siri here to talk about it because she's part of one of these teams. And I was speaking to Joenio earlier today about that. And I think it's important. It's a great idea. We have to take actions, and we can do that. Like create a group. We were not sure if, like for example, specific for music, it would be a good focus, or if it would be too focused to have a group, an art group. I don't know how much the design group goes, how far it goes, the boundaries. If we could just merge that or create another one.
So the design team wants to not be covering everything. On the contrary, we would like the more focused groups to continue working or to start working if they're not working yet. So and the design team is more like how to interconnect the different parts of Debian, both the artwork and the other places, also technical places. So it would be, we would love to have teams more focused. So I would suggest that I would imagine that music, people who are interested in producing music have different challenges in detail than the people who would produce other kinds of artwork. So I recommend that the people focused on creating music go together, create a group, and even if you don't wait for you to find each other, create the group and make that a meeting space. And I would love to help with the technical, practical part of that. I have some experience in spawning new groups, so you can meet with me. Also other kinds of artwork if you like. So, ASCII art. Yeah.
I can be next. So I think we need to share resources between the different groups or projects. So there's this group called Open Source Design, and their goal is to make open source software or FOSS as nicely looking as commercial software or proprietary software. So I think we need to work with groups like that, and at least, you know, until you get a fully dedicated team, work with them and have some consistency between projects, because that's also important. Like there's no design focus across the software, so your experience will change, you know, from GIMP to Inkscape to the operating system. You'll have different user experiences, and I think those need to be unified. And the way you do that is by unifying the people working on these projects. So more working together between these groups would help, I think.
I'm not sure I understand completely what you are saying, but my point I would like to see more designers included in teamwork that doesn't have the design focus or the art focus. I'm not sure it will be meaningful at all times, but definitely art or design is more than the paint on top. So
I wrote that for you, Stephen.
yeah, one example is that Bernelle has a project, and she invited me to give my input along the way of her research, and we've been talking. And I've been hesitant because her project is about the metaverse, and I don't know anything about it, and I didn't really know how to contribute because I thought I needed to understand how this all works. And then Jonas at some point said, okay, but we're just brainstorming. Bernelle and I, we're brainstorming, and we need you to brainstorm with your language. So that was a turning point for me, and I think that can apply to a lot of projects with music as well. I mean, all kind of arts.
We mentioned GNOME, and that's a dominant project. And these smaller projects, I think, need to follow the design cues of larger projects in order to have some sort of unified experience.
Yes. So I'd like to add, I think we should probably move on, but I just want to say that we were complaining in a way, but I don't want to make it so that, oh, you are not doing your work or anything to the upstream or the maintainers. Like, we appreciate the work that you're doing, and there are probably reasons why the way the things are, but we're just saying that as a community of designers, as if we suggest, if we need to be able to suggest an operating system or to someone else, because it is a very integral part of their work. We need these tools to be able to work, and there are tools, there are desktop environments, there are window managers that are probably does not want to cater to, well, the general folks, and that is fine, and you can do that. But like, I think if you are someone who wants to, as a project, if you're someone who wants to aim at general public, and you see your project being used by everyone, you should probably, come talk to us about how you can make your piece of software better, more usable, more user-friendly for the users. That is it. Yeah. Rhonda, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, one idea came to my mind with respect to how can we include more designers and make them aware what Debian can offer. Maybe it's just a crazy idea, but I watched a lot of streams on Twitch, and also a fair amount of artist-based streams on Twitch where people show how to use the tools. And Jonathan, our project leader, mentioned the other day that we have peer-view video sharing service. And what about that here to have tutorials, like whatever you're doing,
Put it out there.
creating a video out of it,
Yeah.
and upload it peer-view. Have this site, use the site to show other people how you work, and so that potentially invite other people to work with the tools, the suits that you're using. Peer-view itself should have the possibility to also stream, but I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I haven't managed it working. Jonathan and me are working on that to make it happen so that it can directly stream to YouTube. But using video formats for making people aware what is possible, what's going to happen, is for sure something that can create retail.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that is also really valid, and that is also part of the point where we mentioned that we need more. We need more ways for where users can find ways to do things in free software tools, and this kind of thing can really be helpful. Yes. So I think that is sort of what we're discussing. I think we discussed about wider description of design in Debian, and I think yes. So the whole point of me trying to organize this BoF was so that we can start a conversation, as in like this is a sort of community that exists, but most of the forums, which are the mailing lists, are often more developer oriented, and we sort of like I sort of felt like it would be I sort of would just wanted to bring artists in a room together and just have a conversation about what it is like to use Debian, what are things they'd like to see, how it is how using Debian affects them as they obviously do it with other people collaborating, and what are things they like to see for art in free software in the future. That is what I seriously intended for this whole thing. Anybody would like to add some end notes, anything they'd like to see in the end, towards the end? Yeah, see.
I just say we shouldn't wait to be invited. We are already here, so we should crash gates.
All right, so yeah, I think that we are about near our time. So yes, anyways, thanks everyone for joining. I think I'll definitely be doing this again next year. So I expect all of you to be there as well in India. Yes. All right.